Hello! So, I decided I wanted to just try and throw together a video here, um, showcasing how to lay out your buildings. I've got a game here I've been playing for a few hours, and I saw another video someone made. I'm not gonna call them out or anything, but, you know, they claimed having a perfect layout, and it was far from perfect. So, just, here's some tips that I recommend. So, you want to have as few roads as possible to make the best use of your space. And I highly recommend that you mainly have horizontal roads because the station is designed horizontally. And you're kind of forced to have the vertical roads anyway at the sector borders. So it just makes a lot of sense. Now, here's what you really do. You want to have sets of 2 buildings in between every road. And you want to have different spacing between every set of roads because that'll fit different sized buildings. So as you can see here, I've got a space of 6, which will fit 2 storages. And then here I've got a space of 8, which fits these it doesn't matter what they are, it fits these buildings. And then I've got all these giant buildings crammed up against the edge. Now, of course, my biggest tip, honestly, besides the general road structure here, is to not overthink it too much, because you're gonna change it over and over and over, because as you unlock different technologies, you know, different crew quarters, they're different sizes, and different storages that are also different stockpiles that are different sizes. It's all gonna change anyway. You're gonna be ripping up this stuff. All of this, every single building here, you know, except maybe the infirmary and mess hall and cryonic center, special buildings, all of this stuff is going to get replaced anyway. So what I really recommend is just going with the different spacing between the roads to cram your buildings in. And I would also recommend, contrary to what I did here, to where I kind of tried to fill up a level before going down, I kind of did the same thing over here. I was starting to go like straight across. I would do it a little differently, actually. I would, for example, if I know I want to build some crew quarters, then I would make a road here that was intended to have crew quarters on both sides. And then if I want to make some stockpiles, I would make a road next to that. So I would have like crew quarters here, so I would have a spacing of 3, road, and then 7, because that would fit a crew quarters here, and then a stockpile here, road, stockpile, right? And then instead of building all my stockpiles straight across like this, I would put them equally on both sides of the road. And my big point, the big reason I recommend doing it that way is so that you actually don't reach all the way to the other side. The reason being, if you try to leave the right side empty, for example, and say for example I built all of my smaller stockpiles kind of crammed over here on the left, and I left this kind of more empty. Then when I unlock the next tier of stockpile, that would make it really easy to start from the right, going left, and to make new road spacing for the new stockpiles. Then I can delete the old ones and have this space freed up to do something different. And of course, it does get complicated figuring out what the end-game setup is without having actually played the game. But fortunately, you get all the resources back when you tear something down, so it's not a big deal to redo everything. It just kind of takes time. Um, Building additional workshops would help for rearranging things more quickly. Might be a good idea. But that's the big tips I have. I mean, it's pretty simple. You just, oh, another big tip I have. For one thing, another thing I would change is to put these big, gigantic wall buildings on the top instead, because they just have a nice design to them where, you know, when you click on the sector, this camera kind of centers, and the way this is now, like half of the design of these buildings are hidden, and then on the top side, we just have a boring wall to look at. But if it was flipped around, then you get to see more of the design of the building, and it's more interesting. So I would put them on the top instead. And if these buildings were down here, it also would kind of make it easier to see down in between them, kind of see what's going on with the road and everything. Also, when it comes to these important buildings like the steel mill and your other factories, I would highly recommend, unlike what I did here, you want to put the stockpiles. See, originally I had these stockpiles up here, and I realized the travel time was really killing me, because for some reason this mill does not want to start the next cycle until it has another 15 iron in storage. It's really weird, because it will already, while it's doing one process, it will already have 15 iron in storage, presumably for the next cycle, right? And then, as soon as this cycle completes, you see it starts consuming that iron that was in storage, and then after it consumes all the iron, it still doesn't start the next cycle until the next 15 iron is in stockpile. Honestly, I think it's a bug, but regardless, the big point is, if you have the stockpile directly opposite the road, then the travel time of the forklifts that come from the stockpiles is next to nothing. There is no travel time. They just appear and immediately disappear in one square. So that's very important for absolutely cutting down on travel time. You might even be able to get away with only one stockpile doing that, but if you're not going to do that, then I would say at least have, you know, for example, this wants 15 iron, and each one of these stockpiles has 5 forklifts. So if you have 3 iron stockpiles, then it should, under ideal circumstances, pretty much instantly refill this thing, you know, a lot faster than if you have less than 3 at least. So, but having it directly opposite the road is the biggest tip. Unloading is not as important, because it has enough room for, unless it gets backed up like mine is, because I'm completely full of alloys, but it has enough room to fit 15 iron and 15 alloys, so unloading the alloys is not as important as reloading the iron so it can start the next process. It doesn't, I'm pretty sure it doesn't wait to unload the alloys before starting. I think that's about it. I don't see any reason to drag this on any longer, so that's it. Keep it simple. Hope this helped. Like and subscribe. And comment.